Hey folks, welcome to the Wealth Transfer with TC. Today I'm going to talk about Zion Oil and Gas. And I'm doing this video because we are very close to the end of MJO2 and they are in the final stages of testing. So I'm going to talk about that, go over a couple other things like the short interest, go over this news article about is Zion Oil going to sell the company, and a few other things that I found interesting within the 10Q. And then I also want to discuss a little bit about the exit plan from where we are at right now. All right, but before I get into that, folks, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just sharing information, giving you my thoughts and my opinions on that information. So if you guys like these videos that I make, the support links are down below in the description and also the About section of YouTube. Now, Zion Oil today closed out at 20 cents, right? We're headed into the weekend. All this week, though, for like the last 3-4 days, there's actually been a lot of selling pressure over the last 3-4 days. We've had the volume has steadily gone up. And so it appears as if there is a lot of people that are selling. So taking a look at the chart, you can see here on Friday, here towards the end of the day, there was a lot of selling pressure. And we got some selling pressure a little bit each of the days. Since starting on Tuesday, there's been a lot more selling pressure than it has been over the previous week. All right, so this is one or two things to me, right? And I always say, you know, if they're going to have negative news, it could be because we have a news announcement that is coming saying that they don't have a viable well. And so people who are on the inside, people who know people on the inside, they're selling off their stocks, right, for that much selling pressure. Or it could be Zion Oil actually selling off stocks to raise capital, right, to raise money. That could be the other reason why there was a lot of selling pressure. And that does kind of concern me because if they don't have a viable well, I mean, Zion Oil and Gas is already really diluted. They have to keep selling stocks and doing whatever it takes to keep things going. And so, like I said, it was the last several hours. And a lot of people probably had buy limit orders in and trying to suck up a lot of that pressure actually probably all week long. You know, but folks, I don't know where this stock is going. And, you know, a lot of times the charts will tell you whether or not if they have oil or not. Selling off is going to be a major indicator that they don't. On the 15th, made their announcement for drill stem testing. So I'm going to go ahead and get into this and tell you what drill stem testing is. As most of you know, our MJO2 well operations are currently in the testing stage. Specifically, drill stem testing, DST, is in process and will continue over the next few weeks. Multiple zones have already been treated in the past couple months despite unforeseen logistical hurdles, including a pump failure, chemical issues, and equipment transportation delays resulting in delayed operations for the past 3 weeks. Nevertheless, we are pleased to see the progress made and will, of course, publish material news and results as they become available and are ready for dissemination to the public. Okay, so drill stem testing. A drill stem test is a temporary completion of a well bore that provides information on whether or not to complete the well. The zone in question is sealed off from the rest of the well bore by packers, and the formation, pressure, and fluids are measured. Data obtained from a DST including the fluid samples, the reservoir pressure, the formation properties, productivity estimates, including flow rate, and hydrodynamic information. All right, so this is it, folks. This drill stem testing is the final test. It's from what I understand. They've already did, according to their 10Q, in December of 2021, they did the neutron density, sonic gamma, and resistivity logs. Those were all required in 2021. All right, so they've been testing and testing and testing and waiting on equipment to come in so they can get to the point to where they are at right now. But, you know, when these updates come out, you know, I'm pretty sure they could have already been a week into testing, right? So look for something to happen in September. So I'm going to go ahead and go over some of the short information, which isn't very much. But here you can see, like I said, the volume increased. It doubled from Monday to Tuesday. The volume continually grew from there. And there was a lot of selling off, and the most selling off was on that Friday. Right? And as far as fails to deliver, there's nothing coming that's going to push the price of Zion oil and gas. A lot of that we saw back in March, which was actually for April. And that's where a lot of the pressure and where we saw Zion oil going up wasn't coming from Zion oil, it was coming from the fails to deliver. And people continually buying in. And then, of course, we know that it crashed after the shareholder meeting or during the shareholder meeting. Okay, and there's this article by Tab Stocks, and I'm not sure about this Tab Stocks news agency or whatever it is, but you don't know who the author is. And obviously the way that they're talking, it sounds like it's somebody that is invested with Zion oil, whether they are buying into it or whether they're shorting it or whatever the case. But it's titled, "Is Zion Oil and Gas Planning to Sell the Company?" Now, some of this is speculation based off of when Zion Oil announced that they hired and filled a position, Mr. Frank Starr II, and he has a lot of experience within the oil and gas industry, acquisitions, management, and all that. But in the news article, they suspect, in the information they found out about Mr. Frank Starr, is that he forms companies and helps to form companies bring cash flows under control, then sells the companies. So that's where some of the speculation came in as far as, are they planning to sell the company? And the article states that the reasoning for this is Zion Oil. If Zion Oil has discovered a lot of oil, they are not experienced enough to develop oil wells for commercial production. Of course, any company that's in the process of exploration are not going to have the experience, except for those working in Zion Oil, as far as they have experience in commercial production, right? So, but this is Zion Oil, even though they've been searching for oil and gas and drilling for oil and gas for a long time, they're still a baby company as far as where they are at in the oil industry. They don't even have one viable oil well yet, and they're still in the exploration phase. If they were to sell off, it would feel kind of weird. If they were bought out by like Chevron or Exxon or, another major oil company, it wouldn't be the same as an investor. Now, there was one thing that I did read that kind of disturbed me, and that's in the 10Q on page 8. And it says here, during the 6 months ended June 30th, 2022, the company incurred a net loss of $4.8 million and had an accumulated deficit of approximately $228.3 million. These factors raised substantial doubt about the company's ability to continue as a going concern. So here in the section on page 8, going concern, and I need to know if this deficit is something from the beginning. Is this money that they owe right now? On top of them already, selling off stocks to raise funds, and this is the additional amount, or are the deficit? Is that means their debt? So if someone knows how to read a 10Q and look at the financials, please make a comment down below in the description because I want to make sure that I'm looking at this information correctly. Apparently, according to this paragraph, they have concerns about moving forward. If this well is not viable, it's going to be very difficult for Zion Oil and Gas really to raise money to go to the next phase. But you know what? Zion Oil does have a lot of supporters, and 45,700 to be exact, according to the information that came out on June 22nd. That's how many shareholders that Zion Oil has, 45,700. Now, the one thing that I do want to talk about is, Zion Oil doesn't want its stock to be low. And so if they had positive information, they would want that positive information to be released. Because you know why? Then guess what? The price of the stock goes up. So when they sell off stock, they don't have to sell off as many. So you're not diluting the company's stock. Why would Zion Oil be intentionally quiet and then they got to keep diluting and diluting and diluting? There's no guarantee that this well is going to provide, millions of dollars to cover their deficits or losses. Then they still have to raise additional money. And you know what for? For production, right? And then not only for production, but they're going to have to take down the rig and move it to the next place where they're going to drill for their second well. All right, folks, so keep that in mind. This is only one well. So that's the other kind of thing that bothers me, especially during the shareholder meeting. And they were so negative, and you could tell by their emotions, like as if something was wrong, like as if there wasn't anything positive that was coming out of all of that. You saw the facial expressions and the emotional expressions of everybody in the board meeting. Nobody was positive at all whatsoever. The shareholder meeting does concern me and how they are. And why would they act like that on purpose? They want the stock to be higher so that when they do sell off, they're not selling off as many stocks. So, but if they do have positive news, right, I would guess that they would announce that either, Sunday night or before the markets open or during when markets are open, if they do have something positive. If they do have something negative, like let's say if this well is not viable, the best time to release that news would be on a Friday evening or on a Saturday morning. That way it has not as a big of an impact, and it does give some people time to decide whether or not if they're going to sell their shares or not. But I do think that if this well is not viable, then also I think that the price will probably crash to about a penny or less than a penny. Now keep in mind, folks, MJ01, they had oil, right? But they weren't able to get the flow necessary to be able to have a productive and viable well. So let's talk about the exit plan, okay? Because right now Zion Oil is sitting at approximately 20 cents, right? 19.9 cents. What is it? You just plan on holding till the end and you're not putting in any stop losses at all whatsoever? I guess that would be a plan. Then you're just going to have to wait until the next time they drill, and that could be anywhere 6 months to a year before they even start drilling somewhere else. And then you see how long it takes them per well. This well spudded on January 6, 2021. And here pretty soon, within 5 months, we will be on January 2023. I don't know what kind of any more restrictions that Israel has, but if they're still going on with a lot of these restrictions and stuff, and they continue that all the way through 2023, who knows how much longer it's going to be before Zion Oil actually does something as far as oil. So if you just know that if this well is not viable and the stock goes down, it's going to take maybe another couple years before you see any positive development. Now, if they do have a viable well, remember, and I'm kind of confused about this too, because the CEO said as far as space-wise, right, they've already taken up all the space. They can't drill anymore within that particular area where they're at right now. They're at capacity, is what he said. So I'm not too for sure how that relates to production and, how far away the next well would be. So if somebody wants to make a comment about that down below in the description. So that has some concerns for me too, because even if it's a productive well, right, you need to be able to have other wells within that area, right? You're not just going to have that one well pumping out, right? And it has to be viable enough to actually have a return. If they're only going to have one well in that area and it's producing, well, that sucker better be the highest producing well ever in history. Okay, so looking at the price right now, what would I do? If I was going to set stop losses, I would probably set them at 16 cents or 15 cents. Now, a lot of people got in when they saw the price between 10 and 12 cents, right? Or a lot of people averaged down, right? So this is very important, folks. And, I don't know what's going to happen with this. To me, I'm more on the side of things do not look that well. The shareholder meeting for me was the icing on the cake, and then seeing everything else that has transpired since then. And yes, they are in DST testing, but you got to keep in mind, folks, this stock is so diluted. Even if they say we have oil, we have a viable well, they're going to have to raise money for production. They're going to have to raise money to tear down the drill and take it to wherever their next location is at, right? That's still a lot of money they're going to continue to sell. So yes, you may get, if it's a viable well, it's going to pump, maybe for a couple days, depending on what information is released with that. And even if you have the best of the best news, Zion Oil is going to need to raise money, and they're going to have to sell off. The stock was to even go to $1. They're going to be selling off stock because they need that money for production and to get the rig going on another well. That's the thing, folks. I believe in the mission of Zion Oil. Okay, so if this well is not viable, they just need to get on with it and deal with the consequences, dealing with their stock, and move on. Because I do believe that anything negative concerning these next test results, people are going to get out of it for a while because they know it's going to be a long time before they do anything. And as an investor, yeah, you're going to wait. Say even if they made an announcement on Sunday that they do have a viable well, right? So come Monday, people, this doesn't necessarily mean the stock is going to be at $5 at opening bell. From here on out until the announcement, there's still going to be opportunity to get in. I just don't think that whatever price that it peaks at, it's not going to stay there for very long. But that's just my opinion. So anyways, folks, that is all that I have for this today. I just wanted to give you my thoughts and my opinions on Zion Oil. I am not an oil expert, but I have been involved in Zion Oil for a very long time, and I feel like I know a lot of things, but it's all coming down to this, folks. And within the next couple weeks, you're going to know, and then we'll have to go from there. But since I was an avid supporter of Zion Oil, and I brought in a lot of people purchasing Zion Oil, but this is it, folks, here in the next several weeks. So make sure that you have your exit plan ready if you are going to put in a stop loss, or are you willing to wait another couple years before you see any fruit with this company? Because that's probably about how long it's going to be before you see anything. And of course, if it does go down to, if they don't have a viable well and it does go down to a penny, or less than a penny, I'll probably buy up as much as I can and get a lot of stocks. So that's all I have for today. I thank you guys for listening. God bless. TC out.